And he got out in April, and I finally got to hear all of his story, because he never really talked to me about it before. He's kind of a quiet guy. He's a gentle person. He spent 43 years in prison. And when he came out, I heard his story how when he was arrested, he said, I didn't know anything. And that they didn't have any witnesses. They had no evidence. He just happened to be an Indian who was in the same area where a party was taking place where a young girl was killed. And they told him they was going to sentence him to death if he did not plead guilty. So from 17 days after he's arrested, he was sentenced to McAllister for a life sentence and served 43 years. Until about 15 years ago, his wife met an attorney here in the halls of the state capitol who listened and started looking into the case. And he finally got out. He's not free yet, but they commuted his life sentence. Now, this is nothing new. This has gone on since the time they killed Crazy Horse. This has gone on long before. It's just a pattern of behavior. I'm even very fortunate to be here myself. When I was 16 years old, I did some stupid things. Got in a high-speed chase in Texas. Had 16 rounds fired in my truck. I got hit once. While they had me in the police car, they realized I was a teenager then. And I'm sitting back at the police car in handcuffs, and I see a shotgun right there by my feet. Keys ignition, police car's running. I'm sitting there waiting because my feet is hurting really bad where they hit me. Waiting to go to the hospital, and I kept thinking, maybe I can take this car and get away, but where am I going to get help? I turned around and looked, and there's several police officers standing behind the car, just waiting for me to make that kind of move. But today it seems like, they don't wait for that move. They just see you. So every one of us carry a target on us. We can all be potential victims of police violence, police brutality. This is Oklahoma, what they consider the dumping grounds for Indian nations. Because Casuals, Wichitas, and Wacos were here before all of us were exiled here from our homelands. And we tried to make this place our own, doing our Indian way. And they didn't like it at that time because none of our children was going hungry. Our cattle was free grazing. We had crops, we had barns, we had homes. We didn't need for nothing. And they decided that the problem with Indian people is they're not selfish. So in order to make us selfish and more like an American, they broke our communal land holdings up into allotments. So what Oklahoma is the stolen lands. Because in their treaty with the Choctaws at Dancing Rabbit Creek, they said that any territory would never be made into a state or part of the Union. We all know they lied in treaties. So I still hold to that. But the thing, when they broke us up in our land holdings, they started destroying our communities. Some of our tribal governments are complicit in that nowadays, and they don't support the stronghold communities that we have left, where our language is still spoken, our traditions are known. Because we don't have those communities, we don't have our warrior societies. Now I think that's an approach that we need to look back in our own community and how you do it back home. Create your own war society. So if you have a situation where you need help, don't call the police, call your war society. Have them come and address the thing in a peaceful manner. And maybe somebody who may be intoxicated and acting a fool will get to wake up the next day and hug his kids instead of being shot dead by the police. It's going to take us to do it. Don't count on them. Because they want us to be dependent upon their system. I learned long ago that's not the way to do it. I was recently asked by a member of the state representatives to come and speak to her committee about how to reduce overcrowding. Alicia spoke a lot about those issues. And I kept looking and looking, I thought there's a lot of things they can do. Then I started finding last 10 years, the state of Oklahoma has been given reports every year on what to do, but they refuse to act on those things. And I found out that I think 36 members of the state legislature are part of a group called the American Legislative Exchange Council. And the other half of those membership is also private corporations, such as 3 of the top private prisons. And those people in the private prisons sit in the corrections committee and they draft legislation. As been reported, they're the ones who wrote the Truth in Sentencing. They're the ones who wrote 3 strikes or you're out. And to me, that kind of a collaboration is like you live with dogs, you can get fleas. So their state legislators here are complicit in making sure that our people stay in prison so they can fill these bed quotas that the private prisons require. So you got to look at your enemy, know who you're fighting, what's really going on. So I hope with the few words I shared, our relatives here shared today, gives us a lot to think about. And when we go home, recreate your community, strengthen them. look after yourselves, because nobody else is going to do it. Oh, God bless you.